Hello and welcome back to Everyday Writers, your one-stop shop for demystifying the writing process. We're here to be helpful guides on your journey to becoming a published author. I'm one of your hosts, Crystal McQueen.
And I'm your other host, Jordan S. Keller. And on today's bonus author interview, we'd like to welcome to the show Michael Colon.
Michael Colon is a creative freelance writer and novelist, born and raised in New York City. His accent's really cool. He uses his craft to impact the lives of others with thought-provoking words that breathe life into his characters. He often equates his writing to painting masterpieces with prose. His inspiration comes from cultural differences and his own life experiences. When he isn't writing, he enjoys working out, watching sports, visiting museums, and exploring nature trails. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Yes. So your most recent novel, The Gift from Aelius, is a science fiction novel starring an out-of-place AI robot. Can you give us and our listeners a little rundown of what to expect for the book?
Definitely. So, The Gift from Aelius is my first release from TWB Press, and it's not like any other sci-fi book. And maybe I'm being, biased about it, but it's definitely very spiritual, very philosophical. It's not your typical sci-fi story of robots enslave human beings, and it's more of the other way around, actually. So you follow the protagonist, A191, who has a deep love for human beings, but human beings banished his kind to a far corner of the planet. And what the reader gets on this book is kind of following his journey and pursuing something that's bigger than himself while finding his identity at the same time.
Very cool. So you wrote the main character in a very robotic tone, which fits, with your main character being a robot. Can you talk about some of your inspirations for A191?
Definitely. So, like all main characters, I draw inspiration from myself. So, A191 is a dreamer, a deep thinker, sees more to life than his surroundings.
Mm.
And I used a lot of facets about me, how I think, how I see life, a lot of how I was raised motivated me creating this character.
I really
Interesting.
like how you turn the sci-fi tropes on its head in this novel. I'm just a couple pages in right now. I plan on reading it on the plane this week. So I'm really excited to see more of what you've come with and really get to know A191. But your second book is a superhero novel titled The Greatest Comic Book Tale Ever Told. I'm a superhero writer too, so I'm really excited to get into this portion of the show. What inspired you to tell that story? And in your opinion, what makes a great comic book tale?
Definitely. So it's quite the title. It took me a very long time to figure out what I was going to name this book, but yeah, what inspired me to write this story, also, I'm grabbing things from my life and, my upbringing. And I wanted to write a story where it has the superhero comic book elements. I'm a huge fan of the MCU.
Mm.
And even though, like, maybe I didn't read comic books at the same rate that the main character did, I've always had like a respect and like interest of that world. So yeah, I wanted to write a story where the character has to find his inner hero. And there's a kind of a cliche saying, not all heroes wear capes.
Ah,
That's the main basis of this book. You know, um, the main character, Sonny, has to face a lot of his personal traumas in the story, but a lot of it is metaphorical for the monsters and evil villains that you see in the book too. So I want the reader to, they're getting that urban fantasy element, but they're
Mhm.
also seeing like how they could connect to Sonny and how they could find their inner hero by being the best version of themselves in their our own personal lives.
I love that. I love that. Before
Thank you.
Crystal asks the next question, who's your favorite MCU character?
Oh boy, uh, I would have to say Spider-Man.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely Spider-Man. Especially growing up in New York City.
Oh, obviously, of course.
Yeah, I grew up on the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man as well. So when he appeared in the
Oh, and
yeah,
far from yep,
Spider-Man
yep, yep.
No Way Home, yeah, that was amazing, and I'm definitely looking forward to the two Avengers movies coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All
Well, so both of your novels pack in very serious themes within these stories, like humanity and their abuse on technology and inner struggles. And I'm curious which comes first. Do you approach a project with, like, how do you actually get your inspiration for your stories? I know you said it's from life, but are you looking at a theme and then writing, or are you kind of writing and then weaving themes as you get to know your character?
I would say it's a little bit of both, but it's more of starting out with like core ideas. So before writing both these books, like I thought about the concept and the theme first.
Yeah.
And they were like little seeds that you plant, you water, you kind of
right.
paint circles around, and the story kind of tells itself after a certain point. For me, like after about the first chapter, you just get into like this flow state, and it's like you're obviously writing the story and creating the settings and the dialogue and all those elements that require to write a novel, but it's hard to explain, but you're just in this flow state, and it's like you kind of let the characters, you let it play out, you let the story breathe, as I say. So yeah, like both these books have the fiction element, it's adventure, it's action, it's all that stuff that you would want to get in a fiction novel. But at the same time, like most of my work, I like to incorporate like those hard hitting life things where the reader goes, "Ooh, yeah, like why does this sound familiar?"
Yeah.
And I feel like that's also, you know, that's what I get from the craft. Like that's why I like to write these books, is because at the end of the day, it's what you leave behind. And I want everybody who picks up, whether it's The Gift from Aelius or the greatest comic book tale ever told, when they finish reading that book, it's like, wow, like that really stuck with me. So yeah.
Okay, so I got elements of both in there. Sorry, Jordan. I
Oh,
got
you're good.
elements of both. Because at the beginning you said you've got, concepts and you kind of like map it out, but then you said you flow. So, uh, yeah, I'm very much a plotter, and Jordan is very much a pantser. So, what are you?
Uh, okay, so we have to do that thing where I forgot what the line was, but
Oh,
just
yeah.
give me, yeah, 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 yeah. Just
Oh,
give me like 2 minutes, okay? I'm sorry.
No,
yeah,
you're
no
good. You're good.
worries. No worries.
Okay.
So while he goes and buzzes somebody in, Jordan, when you're actually doing your stories, do
Mhm.
you consider your thematic concepts beforehand, or do you kind of let them just weave in?
I had no idea that books should have themes. And like it makes sense because every time you finish your book, you're like, wow, XYZ happened. Now I feel this way. But when I was writing Wildfire, I'm like, there's no theme. It's just a fun action story. And then as I'm like talking to people who read it and getting reviews about it, they're like, I loved how you tackled women in the workforce. And I loved how you tackled like rising above adversity. I'm like, yep, I definitely did those for real and put those in as my goal.
Do you do that when people say like, "Oh, I loved how you did this"? I'm like, "Yeah, totally did that on
Totally did it.
purpose."
Totally did it. Unless it's like a close friend, then I'll be like,
Oh,
"Oh no, I was bull crapping the whole way, but you got it." Uh,
same, same. I'm like, I didn't see that. That's really neat that you did.
it's I mean, K-pop Demon Hunters right now is everywhere, and so many people. Like when I watched it, my first thought was, "Wow, I love how this showed how music can bring people together because music's really important to me." And then my really close friends who are watching, they're like, "Yeah, wow, we love the inclusivity of it and showing that you can be who you want to be, and you're not titled to labels, and you're not tied to how you were born. You can be whatever." I'm like, whoa, this movie is so much deeper than I gave it credit for. So it's just cool how like no matter the media you're consuming, it can mean so much to so many different people. And I think that's the mark of a good story.
I can't remember which book it was, but I read a book where somebody was talking about how once the art leaves your hand, it's not yours anymore. It's whatever
Yes.
the readers make of it, or whichever art form it is. And I really feel like that's true, especially like afterwards when you've got
Okay.
people. When you've got people telling you, "Oh, I didn't get that," or "I got this from your book," and you're like, "Hey, yeah, that was in there
That
too."
was
So, Michael, just to catch you up while you were away, we were kind of talking through. Do you ever get somebody to come up to you and say, "Oh, I loved how you tackled this concept in your book," and it was not necessarily your intention? Do you let them know, or do you like play it off like, "Yeah, that was totally my intention"?
Yeah, I would play it off.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like at that point you have to. Uh,
Yeah, because really, like, I feel like readers get everything, like they're gonna have their own experience. So I
Yeah.
don't think like there's one, you know what I mean? Like there's no
Yeah.
like one specific
it's like a
answer.
one size
Sometimes
fits
it
all. Yeah.
depends.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it depends on the question too. Like I did a book signing in Staten Island, and um, you have people asking you different questions, and you want to be specific, but you don't want to like over answer. That's one thing that I learned too, because I used to
Oh.
like have to feel like I had to give a 5-minute answer for no reason, and it's like, okay, you answer the question, that's you're good,
Mhm.
so but yeah, that would be my answer to that. So
So our next question actually talks about craft, and you've already kind of touched on this on how you start a project, how you work through it. But I'm curious, how do you know when a story is completed, or like when you finish your draft, how do you know that you're ready to move on to the next step? Are you ready to publish?
that's a
Kind of
really
talk
good
about,
question.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a feeling, it's I feel like every author has their own, like I think when you're satisfied with the ending, because we all have like different variations and different endings as we near closer to the end of a story. And I think when we know we near end to the end of the story,
Mhm.
um, there's like this satisfaction. That's kind of the best way to put it. There's like, okay, you know what? I'm comfortable ending it here. So it's more of a comfort, a satisfaction, and there's really nothing else to tell after a certain point. Like depending on what your story's about and what maybe your character's mission was, it's like you got to hit that sweet spot of ending it at a certain point and not dragging it out,
Mhm.
and maybe adding things that aren't necessary. So yeah, that was a good question.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I,
I
I
like
would,
your
yeah,
answer.
yeah. So yeah, I would just say it's just a satisfying feeling of saying, hey, you know what, I'm comfortable with just closing the book here.
Mhm.
Nice. Well, that's all the time that we have for this bonus episode of Everyday Writers. Michael, can you please tell our listeners where they might find out more about you and your writing?
Definitely. So you could Google Michael Cologne portfolio, and, and pretty much my portfolio is going to pop up and all my other freelance work. Or you could Google Michael Cologne TWB Press, which is my author profile, which has all my work. I'm not really active on social media like that. I have Facebook and Instagram, but like I rarely post. So,
Good for you.
if anybody wants to keep up, yeah.
It's a nightmare over there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if anybody, wants to follow me anyway, it's M Cologne 91. And my Facebook profile, well, there's like a million Michael Cologne, so we'll just leave it at that. But
Mhm.
yeah, you could just Google Michael Cologne portfolio too. So
Perfect. And we'll put the link down in our description below so our listeners can find you easily. But join us next time where Crystal and I will be talking about our 2025 best reads. And if you like what you hear on Everyday Writers, don't forget to subscribe to the show and give Crystal and I a follow on Instagram for updates and more information.
And don't forget, every day is a good day to write. See you next time.
Bye.